Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Tom Johnson begins now.
It was a busy time for Tasmanian police overnight. Our horror year on the road has continued with a motorcyclist killed in a crash at Rochalee. Meanwhile, Hobart police are investigating an attempted carjacking which allegedly occurred after the suspect was hit by a car on one of the city's busiest highways.
A gruesome find for two people travelling along the East Tamar Highway.
Around about 11:30 last night, two members of the public have driven across the remains of a motorcycle rider found deceased at the East Tamar Highway near Rochalee.
The victim, a 26-year-old man from Youngtown. Occurring without any witnesses, police today were piecing together what happened.
It appears that the rider was riding north on the East Tamar Highway and at some point has collided with the Griffin fencing in the centre of the roadway, and he's been found in the centre of the roadway.
Investigators are looking at whether the fatal 5 and weather conditions were a factor. Police once again pleading for motorists to drive to the conditions.
I don't want members of the public driving across this. There's two members of the public now that have been traumatised by what they saw.
Meanwhile, a Hobart man has been arrested following an attempted carjacking involving a father and his teenage daughter at Lindisfarne. Last night's incident occurring moments after the 43-year-old was hit by a separate vehicle on the East Derwent Highway.
That man has then gone to another car, and it's that other car that was then subject to what we call an aggravated carjacking.
Allegedly producing a knife, he was restrained by members of the public and was later treated in the Royal Hobart Hospital. Investigations are continuing into how and why last night's events occurred. Police are asking anyone who witnessed it or drivers with dashcam who were in the area at the time to contact them directly or through Crime Stoppers.
Quite a lot that's happened last night that we've had to work our way through, and as for his motivation for doing that is what we will investigate.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The government is touting its first successful homeowner through a shared My Home equity program. But Labor isn't celebrating, saying the Housing Minister isn't being upfront with Tasmanians over the housing crisis as the bid for an AFL stadium threatens the potential for new homes.
Emma Attard's dream of buying a home quickly turned into a living nightmare.
The housing market has definitely skyrocketed in terms of what's available and the affordability of things. It's definitely a seller's market.
However, thanks to the My Home program, Emma was still able to purchase a home. The scheme, a joint venture between the state government and the Bank of Us, offering 30% in equity for an existing home or 40% for a new build.
Without that equity from the government, I would not have been able to purchase the home.
We've had over 350 inquiries since the scheme started, and nearly 60 applications are currently working their way through the system.
The program is part of a push to relieve Tasmania's housing crisis.
That's obviously a very top priority of our government.
But the Housing Minister's statement has Labor seeing red.
We've got a record-long waiting list. It has quadrupled under this government the time it takes to house a priority applicant.
Slamming the government for proposing an AFL stadium at Macquarie Point that would see the escarpment project scrapped.
If the government is serious about building a stadium here, which it sounds like they are, that will mean that housing that's being proposed to be developed on this site cannot proceed.
We believe that Tasmania should have a Tasmanian team in the AFL, and certainly with the grand final season nearly here, I think most people would absolutely agree with that.
Labor now calling on the government to confirm whether or not it's negotiating with the project's developer not to build houses. The Liberal Party remaining coy on the matter.
We've had ongoing discussions with Milieu and the escarpment project, and with respect to that, those discussions will be ongoing.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
10 of Tasmania's top musical ensembles are taking to the stage in this year's State Band Championships. The concert bands today vying for junior and open titles, performing 4 pieces each.
It's really exciting to be out here again, and nerve-wracking, much more so than I was expecting it to be, and I think probably they were expecting it to be.
The brass bands will be performing tomorrow. Hundreds of athletes are about to descend on Tasmania when the state hosts the Special Olympics for the first time in more than 3 decades. Our team is now kitted out in brand new uniforms, psyching up those taking part. A special moment for Tasmania's team. Our athletes and volunteers now look the part ahead of next month's games.
It's like going into an exam that you haven't prepared for, and then you do it and then you're like, all the nerves are gone.
Our team members range from 18 to 66 years old. They'll go up against around 750 competitors nationwide at the inclusive event.
Getting all prepared sort of psychs you up.
This is the first time the Games have been down here for 36 years, so we wanted to look our best.
This is how it looks back then.
Nearly 2,000 people packed into the International Velodrome this morning for the traditional opening ceremony of the Games, and they were treated to some fine entertainment.
Our next chance to wear the gold from October 17, over 5 days of competition. And the final verdict on the new kits?
They are absolutely awesome.
All set for an awesome event. A short film festival made by Tasmanians for Tasmanians will hit screens from tonight as part of the Junction Arts Festival. Showcasing local talent, Grit sees 6 filmmakers sharing their stories with the community.
Putting Tasmanian spirit on the screen.
This is an opportunity where we're having Tasmanian filmmakers show Tasmanian stories.
Featuring courage and resilience within the Tasmanian community.
This offering is really special. We're working with some amazing filmmakers. We've got some really highly original, beautiful stories that we're telling.
The red carpet has been rolled out at Junction Arts Festival with 6 filmmakers premiering their work. Among them, Hobart's Rebecca Thompson.
My film is called Keep Your Gin Up, and it is about 2 beautiful mothers, Sally and Amanda, who both have the shared experience of having children who are very sick and have a life-limiting condition.
Then I rang Amanda, and that's when I had a real conversation though. You know, it's not someone trying to make me feel better, it's someone saying, I understand, which is priceless.
It's a true story founded on fierce friendship and grit as 2 mothers try to find joy in grief.
I'm really proud, and I hope the community is proud too.
While filmmaker Troy Melville explores the power of language.
Like everything that was taken from our people, our land, our sea, our language, our culture, the naming of our places was taken as well.
I think it's a really important film, and I hope that people will look back and kind of understand that we are at a kind of a turning point in kind of history at the moment, that the Aboriginal or Palawa community has kind of emerged and got a lot stronger, and we should start to see that.
Reflecting on Tasmania's Indigenous history.
Mount Wellington is a white fella's name. Kununu is our name.
There's a whole push for kind of first languages globally. And I think it's really important that Tasmania is one of the places that is kind of leading the charge for that.
Taking true Tasmanian stories and propelling them onto the big screen.
I'd like the audience for their worlds to get that little bit bigger, for their understanding to become a little bit richer about what it is to be a Tasmanian.
Building a stronger connection to country. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Launceston has lifted the TSL trophy for the 3rd year in a row. The Blues demolished Kingborough by 72 points, capping off a season of utter dominance. 3 cheers for 3 in a row. A team stacked with talent and a special bond.
Look at the boys, they're all great mates, and that's the thing. You don't get a tighter group.
Oh, they mean everything. Oh, I love them. We're all that tight.
The Blues knew this grand stage well, while the Tigers came in knowing they had nothing to lose in the club's first State League Grand Final.
They're a great bunch of boys and deserve everything they get.
They soaked up the moment. But the Blue Army's general was circling. The coin toss was the only ground Launceston gave up. They piled on 4 unanswered first quarter goals. Kingborough would have hoped the miserable conditions would be something of a leveller. Alas, they were not. A ground normally praised for its velvet-like surface offered no easy possessions. Wet, heavy, rough and tough football, but Launceston was simply class.
Dylan Riley for goal, kicks it for Launceston.
Riley's fanatical pressure was felt to the other end of the ground as well. A glimmer of glory came for Kingborough through Luke Graham's snap, but ultimate success slipped through their fingers.
Opens the door for Riley, who snaps a goal.
Then a brain snap.
Jamison House, he's playing like the Royal Rumble. He's just thrown Lachlan Clifford out of the ring.
An all-in brawl at the final break, but the fight for the premiership was all over.
He raises the fist. It's party time again.
Despair on the Tigers bench as their season fell one win short, the Blues leaving no doubting they're the best team in the league.
Just really lost for words, to be honest, and proud of the work that's gone in over the last 3 years.
There's a big core around the 21 to 24-year-old that actually grew up together, so everyone's so close.
The cup went up. The lid came off, not the first in a big few days ahead. There was some biff in the D-League as well. In the end though, Launceston took the spoils, beating Clarence in the wet, 59-19. It's been a dramatic Premier League hockey grand final day with both matches decided in a penalty shootout. In the men's, Canterbury broke a 2-decade premiership drought, overcoming minor premier Derwent. The Strikers having better luck in the women's, defeating OHA.
OHA and Derwent are familiar foes. This is the third time in 4 years they've met in a decider. Derwent started strong, taking the lead just before quarter time. It doubled in the second quarter, a quick free hit falling to Lauren Canning, who slotted it home. But OHA refused to let the Pipes call them. Hannah Richards finishing off a nice counter-attack midway through the third term. Minutes later, the tall ships were level through Madeleine Murphy. The deadlock unable to be broken, sending the match to a shootout. Derwent's keeper stepping up when it was needed. She saved 3 penalties, giving Derwent premiership glory for the first time since 2019. In the men's, it was 1 versus 2. The first quarter a torrid affair, with both sides having chances. It would be the Lions that broke the deadlock in the second term via a penalty corner. Canterbury's formidable corner crew too strong for the Strikers. Needing a spark in the third, Derwent got one through Ruben Hoey, who scored one of the goals of the year. Like the women's, the men's match went to penalties, both sides scoring and missing early on. On their fourth corner looking to level, the Strikers were denied. That left the Lions' Brenton Watson to step up and end a 22-year flag drought. The Lions roaring for the first time since the year of the Sydney Olympics. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
In the NBL, the Jack Jumpers have got their season underway, taking to the court for the first time in the NBL Blitz, taking on the Sydney Kings in a grand final rematch. It was a tight first half with both sides trading the lead. Jack McVeigh making his presence known.
Majet gets it back. Up fake, bucket. Good offence there from the Jack Jumpers.
The Kings would lead at half-time by a point, but the Jack Jumpers came back, getting their pre-season off to a good start with a 73-53 win.
Good evening everyone. 18 degrees in Hobart today, Launceston 15, 14 in Devonport and Burnie reaching 13. Across the state, Friendly Beach is the top of 19 degrees, Grove 17, 16 on Flinders Island, Wynyard, Lowhead and Strawn all 13 and 6 in Lyowini. Bands of low-level cloud can be seen moving over Tasmania from the northwest today, with some thunderstorms seen off the north coast in the afternoon. Further out, a frontal cloud band with embedded thunderstorms sits from central Queensland to central Tasman Sea, while patchy low-level cloud sits over the south coast of Western Australia. Tomorrow, a weak high is situated over northern South Australia. Tasmania and Victoria have a broad trough moving overhead, while the rest of the country is in a relaxed pressure pattern. West to northwesterly winds tomorrow 20 to 30 knots over Bass Strait, reaching 35 knots about the northeast. And there is a gale warning for the east of Flinders Island and a strong wind warning from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point and from Sandy Cape to St Helens Point, including Bank Strait and Franklin Sound. There is a moderate flood warning for the South Esk River and an initial minor flood warning for the Macquarie and North Esk Rivers. Showers and 15 in Hobart and Richmond tomorrow, 14 in Ouse, 15 in Launceston, 14 in showers in Devonport, Deloraine 13. Burnie and Strawn both showers and 13 tomorrow, Curry 14. And in the east 16 in St Helens and Swansea and showers and 14 in Whitemark. On Monday, showers about the west, far south and central areas. Fine apart from the chance of light showers in the northwest on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, fine apart from light showers about the north. 20 degrees in Perth tomorrow, showers in Adelaide and Melbourne, Sydney 23, 27 in Brisbane and 37 degrees in Broome. And currently Hobart 10 degrees and mostly cloudy, Launceston 9 and cloudy and Devonport similar weather. And plenty of rain today, Tom. It continues tomorrow.
It sure does. Thank you very much for that, Chelsea. And that's all the news up to now. Hope you have a great Saturday night. Good evening.